Hello, and welcome back to the Darby Creek Diaries. I'm Gail Thompson, and the second I sat down to do this, I started coughing, so please forgive me. We are going to dream of beach front living today. We're going to make a flip-flop shaped card. That was one of my projects I did for a blog named Hero. I hope you'll check out a blog named Hero. There we have a monthly contest actually it's a challenge for a chance to win a couple of $50 Hero Arts gift certificates. So check it out and I'll have it linked below. We're going to start with the in and outside of our flip-flop, and that's green fun foam. We're going to make an actual foam flip-flop. I didn't have a template or a die, so I made one, and I'm going to have that over at my blog for you for free. If you'd like to try to make this yourself, it's super easy. One little cutting trick is you try to line up the long side with the edge of the paper, and then you don't have to cut as much. Not that it matters a bunch, but I'm going to switch over here in a second to my cutter bee scissors, I believe, because it's just hard to work with those big ones. Now we're just going to double check our insole. Looks pretty good. We'll move on to the card base. I have an 8.5 by 11 that I've scored at 3.5 and 7 inches and kind of notched there. And I'm going to trim it down and then just fold it over and give it a good crease with my bone folder. And it's thick paper, so it's really hard to get a good crease. Now I'm just going to do the same thing as I did with the insole. I want to wish everyone a happy Mother's Day. I'm happy to have a chance to be able to wish that everybody that's a mother, daughter, sister, a great day. My son is graduating from college on the 9th, and my daughter graduated on Mother's Day a few years ago. So that's a fantastic gift to give any mother. And now I've got both my kids out of college, so yay. I'm just finishing up. Of course, I cut into the fold line, so we would have our card base. And the little rough edges there, I'll clean up later. But there is our card base. I always lay my card base flat when I'm putting on anything so I can get a good lay of the land. I'm just going to glue on this outer part of the flip-flop. It was just sort of a whim that I decided to use fun foam. I have lots of it, it's cheap, and it's kind of like a real flip-flop that way. I am using my art glitter glue to glue that on. Now this, kind of a mistake a little bit. I don't completely regret it, but I kind of regret it. I did trim up the edges. It wasn't completely even, so I wanted to leave this in though, because I normally would outline it. I just thought it would give a little better look. And there's the look. I wound up taking alcohol and cleaning the top of it a little bit there. See, it does fit into a number 9 envelope, the business envelope. Then I got out my Distress ink, and this is for the insole. And I realized, duh, this is not going to blend as well. Even though I have great paper, I personally don't blend as well with the regular Distress inks. I think that the oxide inks are way, way easier. So now we're good to go. I'm just laying down a layer. I'll cover up some of it here in a bit, but just to get the paper a little inky, I think it makes a better blend. Now I'm coming down to the bottom and I'm using my peacock feathers. And now this looks a little blotchy right now, but it will dry and even out. Plus I'm putting stuff on top of it, so it doesn't really matter. This whole thing is going to change. So I'm just blending it out. Now I'm not one of the world's best blenders, but it comes out looking pretty good. You just keep going back and forth with your colors that are next to it and smooth it out. And so I smooth and smooth and smooth some more. And then I realize I have extra handles. Why am I changing the foam? So I got those out and I'm mixing again, and I'm getting my sky a little better. This is sort of supposed to be water and sky, kind of. Now I got to thin out that line up top though, because it is just too bold. So I'm changing my thing again, and I'm putting down paper so I don't get fingerprints on it at this point. And I'm blending it out. And blending, blending, blending. So that's pretty good. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to be doing a lot to it, but I can never leave enough alone. So, but I think it's a decent blend. Like I said at the bottom, it's going to be a little splotchy, but that's okay. You'll see why in a second. And here is our sort of finished base, but not really. I'm going to dry it a little bit. It's out of habit. I'm going to change my mind here in a second and add some shimmer spritz. So you can see it kind of there. I'm standing kind of up far from it because I didn't want huge splops. And I'm pulling it back out of my splat box and drying it again because we're going to get ready to emboss with Hero Arts Sand Embossing Powder. It's kind of got some copper flecks and some little gritty tan pieces in it. I'm going to use my Ranger Distress Embossing Dabber. That's kind of new on the market, and I'm just going to swipe the bottom. I don't want it to be solid and perfect because I want it to be like a beach. So I'm dumping a bunch of powder on. Now I remembered a lesson. Let's put it that way. I started out, I always put everything away right away because I am the queen of dumping embossing powder, perfect pearls, nail polish. Anyway, if you use the heat gun, the embossing gun, I'm sorry, it blows all the little specks that you see there on my mat. It blew those all off. So I transferred over to my heat gun. And it's the same heat, only it's just doesn't blow with such force. So I'm adding a little more, and I'm still going to wind up blowing some away because that's, see, it just kind of goes. You can heat it from the bottom too. At the moment, I just didn't. I was caught in the moment. So now I have kind of a blop there, but it's fine because I want it natural looking. I have the Hibiscus fancy dies. I cut out 1,000,000 of those things from paper and then decided at the last minute, hey, I'm going to use the fun foam just like the flip-flop. So I'm laying everything out and just trying to decide how this is all going to play. That ribbon I showed you is at least 15 years old. So it's kind of not a good argument for stash busting. I mean, for getting rid of stuff, because you never know when you're going to need it. But I am a bit of a hoarder, so I could stand to do it. Now I'm filling this in because there's really no good way to disguise where the ribbon meets. So I'm going to take just some tape. You could use Scotch tape, but I just didn't happen to have any by me. So I'm just using double-sided tape and just not using taking off the release paper. I'm going to make this all one piece. That just seemed to be the easiest way to solve my dilemma. And boy, is that stuff sticky, I'll tell you what. And it's very strong. But I'm going to leave the release paper on it, and I will glue the rest of the pieces to it with my art glitter glue. However, it takes a minute to dry because it's basically plastic, but it will dry. You just have to, it's nice if you can set something heavy on it and just carefully place it down. The glue will dry matte and clear, so no worries there. And I needed to get the straps to my flip-flop in, and I needed to make some markers for it. So I'm just going to punch some holes so I can see where my spots are. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I like it to be pretty close. There are the spots. You can hardly see where my thumbs are. And then the top one is up above. There you go. And I'm measuring out my ribbon, which is double-sided, which is very nice. I mean, really, I've had this ribbon forever. I have no idea why I bought it. Must have been a sale somewhere. But it's the perfect colors for this. And I may never use it again, but it served its purpose well. So I'm going to just lay this out, and I'm going to get my craft knife out and make some slits because I didn't want the ends to unravel on the top. And I know you can glue it, but I just didn't want it sloppy looking. So I'm cutting from the front and the back because it's this kind of thick paper. And I'm shoving my ribbon through the back. It doesn't matter if it unravels a little bit because it'll be covered. And I'm adjusting the length. I want a little bit of a flop there. I didn't want it just splatted to it, as my son would say. And I'm going to tape this down the same way. It's more expensive than Scotch tape, but what are you going to do? I was not coming clear upstairs to look for some. And then I trim off that edge because it's hanging out. And I do the same exact thing for the other side. I just was careful to take it off my water mat because that is not a cutting mat. This is an actual cutting mat. I am so looking forward to going to a beach. I just sit there. I don't swim, and I certainly don't wear a swimsuit, but I enjoy going and just looking at the water. I could live by the water. I wouldn't get anything done but sitting and staring at the water, though. Now I've got these kind of evened up and have it a little bit loose. And I'm going to tape this down like I did the other side. Put in the comments if you are a person that likes water. Do you prefer beaches, or do you prefer, like oceans, or do you prefer lakes? Or are you more of a pool person? And also, hey, hit like and subscribe if you're enjoying this, and ring that bell for notifications. I only do 2 or 3 a month, so it won't be blowing up your mailbox. And as I said before, I did kind of take care of that marker with some alcohol ink after the fact. I'm gluing on the front of my flip-flop to the bottom, and that's when my flower shifted because it wasn't quite dry. But I'm impatient. I can't wait for things. So I just stamped "Life is better with sandy feet." I did it in gray because I just didn't want it to be in black. And there is our finished card. I hope you enjoyed this and that you like, subscribe, come back and see me. Tell your friends, that would be an honor. And come over to the Blog Name Hero Challenge and join us and perhaps win a gift card. Don't forget to follow me on other social media. I will leave some videos here that I think you might be interested in. And until next time, you take care and have a great week. Bye-bye.